Yeah, I'm at 7%. It's climbing now.
And we're recording.
Yeah, I just hit the button. That'll be the. Are we
Mm.
good now? Yeah, we're climbing now.
Mm. Mm. Hello, and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. I've got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, and very patient friend. It's Jody. What up, Joe?
Let's Gucci fam. We're back. It's written
We're
behind my guy TB right
back.
there. If you're watching on
Yeah.
YouTube.
If you're
Yeah,
watching
no,
on
it.
YouTube, we got the Sam Ellinger quote up.
It was. Is that timestamp for the date too?
Oh, yeah, timestamp. Yeah, 1/1/2019, bro. Can't forget it.
That's
Because
funny.
they
No,
were in fact not back. Now they are now though with Sark though, so they did
yeah,
eventually
true.
figure it out.
That is true. It's funny because to those listening, a little behind the curtain right here. We were back about 10 minutes ago, and then my laptop died because it hadn't been charged in so long. And then we
Got to
weren't
work out the
back,
kinks.
and then now we're actually back. We're back on there. We're rolling. Looks like TB's gonna give us some updates about his work. We got some news from the schedule released that was like a week or two ago. I think it's coming up on 2 weeks. Then we're gonna do a little. Who would you have for the flag football in the USA Olympics? So that's what we got on the
Yeah,
docket
you know
today.
what? I think we're just trying to get back in the saddle. You know, it's like riding a bike. You don't forget, but you might be a little rusty to start. You know what I mean? We got to work
Big
out the kinks
facts.
again. To all of our loyal listeners, my apologies. This is really my fault that we've been off the air for months now. To catch you all up on why this is the case, I think the last pod that we recorded, I had
You
kind of
just got the
teased
job.
the promotion that I got, to
Yeah.
the AD and head football coach in Morton. So that's obviously taken a large chunk of my time. Getting promoted to that job in middle of the year in February, not exactly ideal, I would tell you.
While
It's
teaching too. That's
Yeah,
the
and I
other
still had to
emphasis
keep
on
my
that.
full teaching load of 5 classes, 'cause they really couldn't get me a sub at that point permanently. They got me a sub a lot of times, they had to.
Mhm.
But, for the most part, a lot of things have happened, alright? So just work alone. I had to work on hiring an offensive coordinator, which we promoted my dog from within. Coach Thomas is now our OC.
Oh yeah.
Then I had to work on did a bunch of interviews for that, right? Then I had
Mhm.
to work
Yeah, I remember you
on
telling me about that.
replacing myself essentially on the staff. And then we had 2 other coaches um, decide to leave. Um,
Yeah,
so
gotta hire more people.
so had to work on hiring 3 people for the last few months. I probably conducted 20 plus interviews, you know what I mean? So that's a lot of time that takes away. Well, then you have that, and we did get the people hired that we need to get hired. Only most recently though, like within the last week, did we kind of finish up? So,
Dang.
which is nerve wracking because it's kind of late and you're getting in the summer and you don't want to
True.
go forever and you want to know who your people are and all that stuff. And when you don't have those people in place, it pushes a lot of other things back. So that part was stressful, but we got it done. We also had, fortunately, a ton of success in the spring. We had kids make it to the regional tennis meet, the regional track meet, the regional golf meet, which is all that is one step away from state. We didn't actually have anyone from those sports go to state. We did have a state power lifter. We had a girl
Dang,
who
that's sick.
qualified to state from regionals. So I had all of that in the spring, like 4 different sports and regional events. We had obviously baseball and softball going on as well.
Mhm.
We were super short staffed. So that meant I was not only like the head track coach, but we started this new sport called unified track, which is essentially a high school version of like Special Olympics.
Okay.
You
That's sick.
combine special education students with gen ed students and they do track, they compete in track events. So you have like what they call athletes and partners. and the
Yeah, that's
partners are the
dope.
Gen Ed students. And so we started that, but that also meant I was the head coach of that too. So I was doing that and regular track. And then
Uh,
also
so you had to go
um,
hella track
our
meets.
softball coach was also the powerlifting coach. So when we had this girl in state and that was eating into softball season, guess who became the interim softball coach for a little bit? So I coached golf, softball, baseball, regular track, unified track. About the only thing I did not have to coach at any point was tennis in the spring. So coached it all, did everything.
Mhm.
Still taught my classes, still had a STAR test that I had to get my kids ready for.
You guys have that
Yeah.
in Texas, or is
Yep.
that like your guys' version?
Mhm. No, I mean it's the Texas State version, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
called STAR. So
Oh, so it's the same
still had
thing.
all that. Obviously, like I told you, I had all those interviews I conducted. So I
Mhm.
was doing all that.
Yeah, that's a hefty
And then
load for sure.
obviously learning how to become like the athletic director, all the budgeting side, all the stuff that I didn't have access to before that you're starting to get access to and understanding. And okay, I got to get ready to hire or to allocate the money for next year and order for football season the next year because you don't wait, right? You got to do it like all that
Yeah,
stuff in the
all the way
spring.
leading up. Yeah.
So it's all here. So like ordering new helmets and shoulder pads and all the stuff we need to get, figuring out what our new look was going to be,
Yeah, I
stickers
mean,
for the helmet, this, that, the third, like what are the coaches going to wear? What's it? I mean, just everything. And so a lot of work. Also within that process, I got engaged to Jill.
mhm.
So that was pretty cool. That was another great thing that happened back in March. And so
Yep,
we're
yep.
planning and
Big cap.
figuring out what we're doing with the wedding part. As you can see, we haven't had a lot of time to plan that, so we really haven't talked about it as much as we would have liked to by this point. And then also within all that, we're also trying to move to Morton. So I think we just found a place
Oh,
this
word?
last week that we like that we'll probably move in early July. So now I got
That's
to
not
deal with
bad.
moving too.
Yeah,
And also in that same time, two of my three little sisters got engaged as well.
that's crazy. With
So
our boy Sky, is he one of them?
Sky did propose to Alexi. Congratulations to them. And
Hell
then
yeah.
Jensen proposed to Haley yesterday. That just happened.
Dang.
So congrats to them. So a lot of congrats, a lot of good things happening. But also, as you could see, not a lot of time for podcasting for your boy recently. Like every day was something. So it just never, And to Jody's credit, I told him, hey, I just need a month to get into this job, and then we can start rolling on like draft coverage. And then that came around. I was like, hey, bro, I can't. There's no way right now. And then
Yeah.
I went through the draft this year. It's the first year in I don't know how long that I didn't even look at dudes in the draft. I had no draft
Mhm.
analysis. I didn't even know what was going on. All I knew was like what people were saying on TV, but I hadn't watched
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
for myself. I hadn't done any, and it was just so weird because I felt like I was flying blind.
Yeah.
I barely even watched the draft honestly because I was busy and had things going on. So like, it's crazy. I feel
Hey.
like behind, like out of touch with football right now. It's crazy.
If there's
So
anything you need to know from the draft, it's people thought Jackson Dart went early. Shador slipped. Everyone went crazy. And that's probably about it. Or
which
not.
I wish I
Who
had.
cares?
And maybe this summer I'll finally get some time. I wish I had an opinion on the Shador part, but I really don't because I haven't watched him enough for myself to tell you what I think yet. So I may go back and watch a little bit. I feel like again a little late to the party,
Mhm.
but all that being said, excited to be back.
True. It's been a long
You
time
know,
coming.
as much work as this podcast can be, it's also really fun. So I missed it a ton,
And say it's
and
a good way to catch up. It's a good way to just, take an hour out of your day and just chill. Whether, we are giving the people entertainment or it just feels like it's just me and you chopping it up, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
that's the best part. Is even if the people aren't listening, it's just you and I catching up.
yeah, facts.
Um, dude, what's happened with you in the last few months?
Since then, I mean, worked a lot. I had almost gotten on a jury trial that would have been 8 days. Then I was like, yo, fam, like, I can't do the thing because So being in a city employee, which is like through the government, you don't get paid your through the jury system, which is nothing. It's like $18 a day or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you like forego that money to get your salary from the government, which is cool. Like that would be great, but the the days that the court was open is only Monday through Thursday, and I work Wednesday to Saturday. So I was like, bro, I got to be here for 2 days, drive back home for the other 2 days of work just to come back here and work 2 days or do the rest of the trial and go back to work. Like I was like, bro, this is too much driving. And the dude was like asking me questions. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, don't you make that drive anyways? He thought that I drove from Temecula to here for work. I was like, nah, fam. I was like, I live up there. I drove down here because I got the summons. He was like, oh yeah, you could be dismissed. I was like, thank God, bro. Because if I made it on there, I was like, I'm not trying to be down here for 4 days just to drive to go to work. Like I don't even get paid from
Yeah.
in and out at that point. Like I'm just
Yeah.
cooked. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'd rather just go and work normal than be here. That's good to me.
Fair enough.
Really recent news, actually, I got a Tesla like a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, he's big balling now.
I guess you could say that, but
Bro has a
no, that's about
Tesla.
it. Work, bro. That's about it.
Did
Ain't
we
much
did
new.
you I remember we were talking about this. So did you get a used one?
Yeah, I did.
Or
I
you
got a
went new?
used one. Financed it. Uh, yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. I've been just hitting the button, and it just drives me home after work every day. It's kind of nice.
It's self-driving?
Yeah, like so they give you like the
Oh,
free
bro.
self-driving for like a month after you buy it. And like every day after work, I leave the gym and then I just hit the button and it hop on the freeway, take me home. It's like it's nice. I just gotta sit
Wow.
there and look like I'm driving.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know. I would be scared, I think, the first few times it was self-driving. Like,
The
I know it's like it does a good job, whatever, but I'd just be like, man, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if I could like give up the control of the drive.
It's honestly, I feel like it's a lot safer. Like I'm not sitting like because with me, like, I pull one way more than the other. Like maybe I'm riding
Mm-hmm.
the left side more than the right or whatever. But like that thing just sits in the middle of the lane. The only sketch part is like stop signs because you don't know what the other person's gonna do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know I got there first. They get there, but if it senses anything, like it'll like jump because it's like, am I supposed to go? Am I not supposed to go? And then if the other person's like, yo, this guy isn't moving, I'm gonna just go. Like, there's a lot going on there. So that happened the other
Okay.
day. I was turning left and the guy was going straight. I got there first. We started going. He started rolling and the car like kind of stopped and I just hit the gas and we made the turn. I was like, bro, that was kind of wild, but it worked.
So you could just take it over at any time?
Yeah, yeah. That's like
Okay.
you're like
I kind
supposed
of
to.
like
You're
that.
supposed to be like supervised. So yeah,
Okay.
but we'll see. I'm next week, next Sunday. There's a Valkyries game. I might try to go to that and just let the thing drive me. Hit the charger on the way there and then on the way back.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
This
another
is
thing. Hey,
interesting.
the WNBA season started. Not that maybe our fans care, but I be watching. I got season tickets,
Jody,
so
biggest WNBA fan I know in my entire life. Big WNBA fan, man.
you
Huge
gotta
supporter.
move women's sports forward, bro. I'm telling you, it's the future. You
I,
you see what
hey.
Caitlin Clark's doing? She's selling out arenas. They got to upscale them. That's just a matter of time before that's the whole league, bro.
Matter of
I'm being
time.
serious. They
I love
adding
it.
like 2 more teams in the next like 3 years, bro. Look, I'm telling you, if anyone was on this take first, it was me, and TB could vouch for that because I've been trying to
True.
say to watch the
Bro's been
sport for like
Bro's been
years.
saying WNBA was going to get big for 3 years. So okay, so let's talk about the schedule. Little bit of schedule release content. All right, so we got 6 questions that we're going to go through. I'll start with the first one. What did you like from the schedule, Jody? What are you most excited for on the schedule?
Oh, I got two right here for you. The first one I like is Raven Bills on that first Sunday night. I think that's a very
Oof,
good game to
banging.
get us started. Was
Mhm.
that Is that the second round of the playoffs last year? Am I tripping on that? Is that correct?
Yeah. That was the divisional round last year. Divisional round rematch for sure.
Yep. I like that. And then the other one I got written is Phillies Giants Thursday, week 6. I think that could be a sleeper. I think the Giants are making some good moves right now. That'll be
Is
a
that
good
in New
test to
York
see.
too? Saquon coming back to New York
Ooh,
again. I'll bet it
if that's
is.
true too, then yeah, that would be some more
Mm,
implications.
good,
Didn't think of it
good
that
game.
way. I was just thinking
Good game.
Giants, they're young, they're coming, they're on the up and up, hopefully, and then that should be good.
Mm-hmm.
First divisional game for these rooks. Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart. See what they could do.
Scattaboo. I can just I'm just thinking about that Ravens Bills Sunday night game, and I can just hear the do 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 do
Do do
do
do do
do
do
do
do do
do.
do.
Yeah, it gets me excited. All right, for me, game I'm looking at Vikings at Steelers in Ireland, week 4. That looks fun. That's gonna be a fun game. You
Dublin,
got
huh?
like
That's
JJ
got to be
McCarthy
sick.
probably by that point making his 4th start of the season, right? 4th start of his career. Maybe he's got a few starts, maybe a couple wins under his belt. He's feeling good. And then on the other side, you're looking at the Steelers and you're thinking, is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Probably, right?
Hmm.
And let's see what they're looking like. What Mike Tomlin's got cooked up. I mean, that could be one just a great game because I like
Is that
the.
official yet, Aaron Rodgers? Or is that just the most
It's not.
speculated thing of all
It's
time?
just he hasn't signed with anybody, but like
Yeah.
he made this comment the other day about, well, there's a team. Like someone asked him, could he ever play in Chicago, and he said, there's a team that's playing at Chicago this year, and the Steelers are playing at Chicago. So everyone's like, okay,
Oh.
he's talking about the Steelers. But so what I've read on that is that he didn't want to do the offseason. You know, how, like the last couple of years in New York, he didn't do the offseason program for the most part. So people
Yeah.
were really critical. So what I've read is that he and the Steelers have a handshake agreement that he'll sign after the offseason program's done. So he
Wow.
doesn't have to do that. And then he won't get
Okay.
any flack for not doing it, basically.
That makes sense.
Um, and it's
Tomlin's
just
the
like, hey,
man, bro. He said, "Hey,
I'm
you know what? We'll get you later."
yeah. It's like, hey, I'm 40 something, bro. Like, I don't need to do this
True.
right now. Let me just have a real off season and do my thing, and then I'll show up when it's winning time.
He's like, "I'll do my
I don't know.
ayahuasca. You won't have to hear about it."
Yeah, I guess. So we'll see. But it seems like that's where he's going. But anyway, I like the idea of a Kevin O'Connell offense versus, a Mike Tomlin game planned defense. Like that sounds
Mhm.
fun. And then on the flip side, the Vikings have a defense that's pretty good, and the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers the quarterback, maybe they've got a kind of a revamped offense with DK Metcalf, and
Mhm.
so we'll see what they're bringing to the table. But I like that game; seems like a fun one. On the flip side, what were you disappointed in with the schedule release?
Oh, some games that I thought could have been, prime time, get their own shine, that were just left, in the middle of the pack on Sunday, was this first one, the rematch of the Super Bowl, Philly versus KC, week 2. We got that at 1:05, well, I guess
Mm,
Pacific, before I say anything, but I feel like the rematch got to be on prime time, whether it's a Thursday or a Monday, maybe even that Sunday night, but that just screams like you got to be there. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm.
They I think they
Yeah,
messed that one up. That's tough.
it is.
And
It is
then
kind of surprising that it's not on primetime. Although both those teams have a million primetime games, but it is surprising that that rematch is not on primetime. I do agree with you.
and then I feel like there's a game week 4 Sunday night, Dallas versus Philly. Wait, did I write? I don't know if I'm reading
Green
that right.
Green Green Bay at Dallas.
That's wrong. My bad. I got Dallas at Philly to open the year. I think that's the Thursday night.
Yeah, I put
That's
that.
brutal. You put that?
I put that Dallas at Philly game to
My
open the
bad.
year.
I took your thunder.
Um, honestly, I don't know. Of all the opponents that you could have opened the year, like why didn't they just give us the Super Bowl rematch to open the year? That would have been more fun.
That's what I'm saying. It should have been prime time, regardless of when they
It,
had
but it
it.
would have been so easy to make
Yeah.
that the I don't know. But Dallas at Philly as the season opener, it's a divisional matchup. I don't know. It just didn't seem like felt like they had so many other options they could have gone with Philly to open the
Hmm.
year, and they give them Dallas. I don't know. I feel like I've just that game. Maybe I'm not giving the rivalry enough hype
I
right
don't
now.
think it's
But
a rivalry right now, bro. The Dallas, when was the last time they beat Philly? Like, they can't even make the playoffs, and yet they're. I I kind of want to jump ahead to this other question I had written down, bro. The Dallas Cowboys got 6 primetime games. When have they showed their primetime watch besides being quote unquote
well,
America's
I
people?
was gonna say it's not about that, right? It's about the fact that they draw eyeballs. Because here's the thing with the
Everyone loves to see
Cowboys.
them lose, or what? Like,
Yes, there's they are quote unquote America's team. It does have a giant fan base, and I can speak as someone living in Texas. Everyone loves the Cowboys out here for the most part, or so they either love the Cowboys or they absolutely hate the. Like I literally know someone who just watches every Cowboys game and roots for the other team. They don't even have a team they like. They're just a
yeah.
certified hater. They'll just watch every Cowboy game and root against them and love when they lose. So like it's just two sides of the same coin. No matter what, though, if you're one of those networks, it's eyeballs. And the Cowboys, no
Yeah.
matter what you want to say about them, they draw eyeballs. And if you're a primetime game, you want eyeballs. So it's not even about the Cowboys are going to be a primetime team every year, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Like no matter what, they're going to get
Mhm.
at least 5 every year. So
That's
um,
tough. Too much Cowboys for me.
I get it.
All right, well, I botched my own line here. So I have Green Bay
Yeah.
at Dallas week 4, Sunday Night Football. I think that kind of ties into what we just said, though, how like we don't need them on prime time. They got too much, and they got their own Sunday night versus
I do like
Packers.
a
It's gonna be a
good
good matchup, though. I think because they
Packers
get in there and
Cowboys
smoked
matchup.
them in the
Yeah.
playoffs a couple years back, but maybe didn't smoke them. They came back and won. But point being, I feel like it's lopsided, and Dallas just has too many primetime games.
Fair
Not
enough.
my not on my bag.
Any other games that you were disappointed aren't primetime games?
I have one that I believe is really nice. We got the Rams versus Ravens week 6. I feel like two teams that made to the playoffs second round. That seems like it's got some good juice on there. You got the old vet and our guy Stafford versus the savvy dude on the other side, Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Good NFC AFC matchup too. And then I also got Kansas City versus Buffalo week 9. I feel like if you got Josh Allen and Patty Mahomes, that screams like you got to be there too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I bet that'll be the Tony Romo CBS game though in the middle
Oh,
of the day.
that's everyone hates on Romo. I'm a fan of him. I'm gonna be honest.
I
feel
love
like,
Nance too. So
yeah. Dynamic.
for me, Seahawks at Rams week 11, the return of Cooper Kupp. That was a missed
Oh,
opportunity, I think. But it's going to be a great game nonetheless. Very excited to see it. I love Coop. Very sad to see him go.
ooh.
However, glad he is. He went home basically for him. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good place for him
Ooh.
to end his career, I think. So we talked about who had too many primetime games. You said the Cowboys, too many. I also thought the Dolphins maybe. Dolphins in 5 primetime games. Like I don't need to see two
Yeah,
that many
that's tough.
times.
There's too many opportunities for us to not see something good happen.
Though I do love seeing the cocaine Mike McDaniel shots on the sideline that everyone loved last year. I do
Smoking a
we do get
vape.
plenty of memes from that. But who on the flip side of it, who do you feel like didn't get enough primetime games?
I got the Titans. They had none. I mean, I kind of get it. They struggled last year. Kind of
Yeah,
a
but we want to
weird
see
market
Cam
that they're
Ward.
in. Huh?
We want to see Cam Ward though.
That's what I'm
We want to
saying.
see what he does.
They're in a solid division for them to be playing primetime. Like Houston, I think gets eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like CJ Stroud struggled last year, but the year before he was solid. You know what I mean? Like very good. Made it to playoffs. Ruined my dreams with that Browns game. Took some money from me, but no. I mean, I think there's different people that could have played. And then on the other hand, I have the Jags. They only got one, which I think is probably their game overseas.
Yeah,
So
probably.
that's also tough because that's 6 a.m. Like, who's watching football 6 a.m. unless you're like with it? You know what I
Us.
mean? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But like,
Us.
the casual is gonna wake up and be like, oh, I gotta let the kids get through the morning, and then we'll get to football later. You know what I mean? Like, that one gets thrown behind your back because it's like so early. And then, but like, I think they're doing some good things. They got some good young talent at the receiver. You got Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. Like I think that they got some good stuff going on too. That should correlate to them at least having more than just one, which is, like I said, 6 a.m.
Duval.
Yeah, new coach too. You can add that to the list.
For me, I feel like there was some missed opportunity. A lot of people are going to be watching the Browns this year because they want to see if Shador Sanders is going to play.
True.
So they have no primetime games though. So I feel
Yeah,
like maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity from the networks there. And then also the Panthers, I think, are more interesting than people are giving them credit for. I think Bryce Young's resurgence at the end of the season last year, I want to see if that
he was looking good
continues.
last year.
They've got an interesting, like Hunter Renfro,
Yeah, they
signed with
brought him
them. They
back.
got an
Yeah,
interesting crop of receivers now that I'm
Adam
curious to
Thielen,
see.
right?
So
He's still there.
yeah.
They got our boy Xavier Leggett.
Yeah. I was going to try and do the accent, but I'm not going to. Okay, so that brings me to the next question, which is who has a more favorable schedule, you think, going into the year?
I think the Patriots have one. Like, they didn't do too hot last year. They had Drake May, show glimmers of some promise, but they couldn't ultimately get done too often. And I think like them and the Niners were both, I want to say, at the end of the list for their division. So, you're playing people at the bottom of the barrel more often than not. And if you got a good offseason, people coming back, whatnot, paying people, you bringing in new juice to the team, it leads to some good things on the flip side, And like it's
Mhm.
not like, the Patriots also got Vrabel as a coach, definitely some new juice in general over there. But you just hope to turn things around. You playing, like I said, people who finished last as well. So that's always nice to see, and it could lead to some good things. Also, could lead to down the road maybe like a little fraud alert. You're like, oh, they only played these
Mhm.
people. They made it to the playoffs, and now they can't do nothing. You know what I mean? But I think they got some good chances to get some good games for them, get some juice
Yep.
back.
Yep. For me, I like the way the Rams schedule shapes up, even though it's a first place schedule, right? They start the year hosting the Texans, but then they get to go to the Titans the next week. So they see Cam Ward real quick, right? Real early in his career.
Yeah,
I think both those
yeah, I
first two
agree with
games
that.
are
Week 2.
are winnable, right? You get the Texans at home, you go to the Titans. That's both winnable games. Then they have to go to Philly. But if you're going to go to Philly, you'd rather go week 3 than week 12 when it's snowing. And I mean, we saw that in the playoffs. So I like that they get Philly earlier in the year this year. And then they host the Colts the week after that. So I think very good opportunity to start like 3-1, right? Even though it's a first place schedule. And the last few years, we've seen the Rams get off to bad starts and then
Yeah,
fight back
true.
the rest of the year.
To make it
So
back
it would be
in,
nice
yeah.
to see if they can get off to a hot start this year. They may end up with a much better record. Then they host the 49ers a short week in prime time. Then they go to Baltimore. That's going to be a tough game, right? But then to Jacksonville, hosting the Saints, some more winnable games along the road. So I do think the Rams have a very good chance of not only repeating as division champions, but having an opportunity to maybe get one of the top 2 or 3 seeds in the NFC. The way the schedule shapes up. The other team I like here is the Falcons. I think they have a chance to get off to a hot start, given that they host the Buccaneers in week 1. We know that last year they were able to beat the Bucs twice, right? So it feels like they kind of have their number a little bit. So maybe starting off there week 1, 1-0. Well, then you go next week in prime time at the Vikings. JJ McCarthy's second start of his career. You probably
True.
same thing we talked about with Cam Ward. You want to catch those guys earlier in the season than later. Then they go to the Panthers. They host the Commanders, right? Those are both, I think, could be difficult, but by the same token, winnable games. And then they kind of have a tougher stretch, right? They host the Bills. They go to the Niners. But then it kind of levels back out, and they host the Dolphins. They go to the Patriots. They go to the Colts. So I do like the Falcons' ability to maybe get off to a a start similar to what they did last year, but maybe this year they'll be able to retain it and actually, fulfill the promise that the roster, has. I mean, feel like it's been 3 years in a row that people are like, hey, maybe the Falcons. And now this year, finally, people are like, just not going to talk about the Falcons because they've let us down 3 years in a row. But
Yeah,
I'm
Michael
still
Penix,
kind
though,
of on the
should be finding a good footing too.
Yeah, maybe the Falcons. I guess we'll see. So flip side of that, tougher schedules. Who do you see as having a tougher schedule?
I think mine are two kind of like cop outs, people who finish top of their division. But I got Detroit and Philly. Like, they're playing the Lions. They're playing the Commanders. They got the Texans, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Bucks. Who else on this list? The Rams, like a lot of people that were all in the playoffs from last year going forward. That's always brutal. Like I said, finishing top division makes that the difficult part. And on the flip side, the Eagles are all playing Rams, Chiefs, Bucks. I feel like they got that trio every year for the last like 3-4 years. Who else we got? We got the Packers, the Lions. Where's the Commanders, the Bills? Well, they play the Commanders twice. That's a bad example. But still, they both have like the same core four right there with the Chiefs, Chiefs, Rams, Bucks. So it's like, it's never going to get easy when you're seeing everyone else that's been in the playoffs the last couple of years. And I think that in general alone is just tough. Not to mention like travel. I know you brought up the Rams earlier. I've seen they had the second or third most travel time in Lone. They got like 37,000 miles or something crazy. Like that is a whole separate part of everything being difficult.
Yep. So the team that I'm targeting with one of the tougher schedules this year to me is the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's a combination of overseas games, like when their primetime games fall and where they're at and things like that. So you look at the schedule. They start the year on Monday Night Football at the Bears.
Okay. So then you have the short week right after.
so yeah, I don't love that you have to start on Monday Night Football. Plus at Chicago with the energy that's in that place right now. That's a tough. I mean, number one, playing at Chicago is always kind of a tough game, even if they're not that good.
Because it's not going to be as cold as you would assume.
Yeah, but you got all the new like Ben Johnson and the new toys and Caleb Williams. I just feel like that's gonna be a tough game. And then the next week you're in primetime again on Sunday night, and that's the game we mentioned with the Falcons, right? Where you host the Falcons. Then you have to host the Bengals the week after that. Then the next week you're going to Dublin to play the Steelers. And the week after that, you go to London to play the Browns back to back.
Yeah.
Right. And then they get their bye, so they get the bye real early in the season. It's good that they get the bye after the back-to-back overseas games, but you get your bye week 5. That means you're going to play the rest of the season without a bye after that. And then after that, out of the bye, I guess they host the Vikings. They go to the Chargers. They go to the Lions. They host the Ravens. That is a gauntlet out of the bye. And then it's like divisional games where they host the Bears and they got to go to the Packers. Then they go to Seattle. Then they host the Commanders. Then they go to Dallas. This is a brutal stretch, bro. And when you mix in that they go from like 2 primetime games early in the season to then 2 straight overseas games, they're going to be 8:30 in the morning our time.
Yeah.
The body clock is going to be super off. Then out of the bye, those 4 games, Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, 4 teams that I expect to be playoff teams.
Yeah.
After an early bye in that gauntlet, and then you still have all the divisional games left, and your non-divisional games are the Seahawks and the Commanders and the Cowboys. Like, poof, that's a gauntlet. I do not. The Vikings have a very, very, very tough schedule. In my opinion, the toughest in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how they do it, but I think they're gonna have to figure out a way to just stay overseas. Because if you come back,
I assume they'll just go right from Dublin to London. Yeah, that's what I assume. That's what they'll do, and that's probably why the NFL scheduled it that way, back to back. Yeah. The other team
facilities alone would be cool to go home, sleep in your bed and whatnot. But I don't think that's viable for that. You'd just be too tired on flights.
No. The other team that their schedule isn't necessarily tough; it's really uneven. It feels like I've got the Bengals. So they start the year at Browns, host Jaguars, at Vikings, at Broncos, right? So that's kind of how they start the year. And then that at Broncos game is a primetime game. But then it becomes host the Lions, at the Packers, host the Steelers, which that's a tough 3-game stretch. Then it kind of goes back to like, okay, you host the Jets, you host the Bears, you're at the Steelers, you host the Patriots. Okay, but then it flips again, like at the Ravens, at the Bills, host the Ravens, at the Dolphins, and then you finish the year hosting the Cardinals and Browns. So it just feels like they have like, okay, this is a winnable stretch of games, really, really tough stretch, winnable stretch, really tough. And so I thought their schedule was just a little bit uneven. And so we may see the Bengals kind of do this throughout the year. I have a feeling where depending on the week you catch them, you're going to like them. And then maybe another week you might not. So that's the schedule. I think we have a pretty good idea of what weeks we like. I think week 4 is a great week. Obviously, week 1 is always fun because it's just anticipated. Football's and it's back. Everyone has a chance. Everyone's alive. Yeah. Everyone's got as good as anybody else at that moment until we start seeing the product on the field. But I think week 4 has a chance to be one of the better weeks, just based on our conversations here. Flag football, the NFL. Recently, the owners voted to approve players playing in the Olympics in 2028. It's fun to imagine. Now, I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and I was like, everyone's like, Tyreek Hill. I'm sitting here thinking,
old by the time that thing happens.
I was just going to say, 2028, people don't, it's like 3 years away. And Tyreek Hill is already on the downside of his career. By that time, that might be like his swan song if he plays in the 2028 Olympics. That might be like he retired from the NFL and then he's just finishing his career in flag football Olympics.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Take for that what you will. But if we were building our dream flag football team off NFL players, Jody, I'll let you run through your offense, who you would have first. So you have a quarterback, a receiver, a quarterback, a running back, 2 receivers, and then a center who's like another receiver, tight end type guy.
Yeah. All right.
It's 5 on 5 is what the rules are.
So I've written down a couple people I'd like in each slot, and then I'll just go ahead and give you guys who I'd take. So QB, I got Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Jaden McDaniels. I think Jaden McDaniels was going to be the answer just because of youth. But I think you need a little bit of speed and also being able to just throw the ball accurately. You know what I mean? So
quarterback can't run, right? But they do have to avoid the pass rush.
I think they can if they get rushed. But if they're in the whatever time range they have before the blitzer comes, they have to just sit there.
Okay.
They might get one actual rush per drive. I don't know if it's a handoff or they could keep it. But I think you get one actual rush per drive for flag football as well.
Okay.
So I got Jaden McDaniels at QB. Running back, I know we kind of talked about it, but I was like, Tyreek Hill will be a little longer in the tooth. Could fit in that running back role if he's still shifty, I have Devontae Smith and Malik Neighbors. I like having the receiver back there and kind of utilizing that center position for running back. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I do see your point with having tight ends. That didn't click to me until yesterday after I had written all this out. But for that running back, I think I'd want to roll Malik Neighbors. Like I said, more youth. Devontae Smith is also a very good one. He's very not physical, but athletic. He can make some crazy grabs for us. The next receiver, in my next spot, the receiver, I got Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. I think you just got to roll. The man himself, Jamar Chase. You can't. There's no doubt about it. Let the eyes shine for the man, bro. He's just too good. The other receiver slot, I was looking at Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think if we're just doing the obvious, I think you got to have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson on the same field. That sounds crazy to me. If I did switch it up, I think I'd probably have Brian Thomas Jr. as my next guy in there.
Yeah.
And closing out the team for the receiver slash center. This is like I said, I had the running backs fill in, so I got Bijan, CMC if my guy is still healthy. I love me some CMC. And then Devon A Chain would be the other one I was looking at. But ultimately, I think you go Bijan here. That man's he just keep climbing the ladder.
All right, so for me, to me, flag football, a lot of it is about improvisation, right? Improvisation, being able to throw from different arm slots, buy a little bit of time, and then the accuracy, like where to put the ball perfectly in place. So to me, the first guy I thought of was obviously Pat Mahomes. That's the dream. And if I'd had a guy backing him up, the next guy that I think, even at his advanced age, still would be perfect in this because you can't hit him, is Matthew Stafford. I know Matthew Stafford, the thing he may struggle with is like avoiding the rush. But if you just let him, like, if he just gets the time to accuracy, throw darts, get the ball out to his guys, like Stafford's that dude, man. So I like Stafford in that. In terms of the running back, I was thinking just so in my mind, the way I built this, by the way, is like a two deep. So I just gave you who my starters are and who the backup would be. So my starter would be Mahomes and my backup will be Stafford. My starter at running back would be Bijan. He's the best route running back in the NFL. He does everything. And then his elusiveness when he has the ball, like sometimes he's a dude who just doesn't get touched. And in flag football, if you're not getting touched, that's, it's different to like break tackles in the NFL versus flag football, right? And the way Bijan breaks tackles, I think translates to flag football. And then the next guy that I thought of is just pure speed and agility, Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, similar deal, pass catching back, could be a matchup nightmare, I think, for a lot of people. So my two deep there is Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. At receiver, I'm with you. You got to go Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Route running technicians, they create space in routes and get open, and you have to create space in flag football to give yourself the opportunity to not only catch it, but do something afterwards. And then the next two guys I was thinking of dudes who, like, again, are like, they just eat up parts of the field, extreme speed. So I thought of like actually Tutu Atwell might be a better flag football receiver than he is an NFL receiver, just because he's a little bit smaller. He sometimes struggles with like press coverage in the NFL, and McVay's done a very good job recently of using motions and things like that to get him off the line of scrimmage and away from defenders so that he can use his speed. And we've seen it start to pop a little bit. The Rams even paid him a little up this offseason to keep him, which I think surprised some people. But if you've been paying attention, I think his role is expanding in that offense. Even with Devontae Adams coming to town, I think Tutu is going to play a big factor next year. I think he would be an awesome flag football receiver. So kind of a one that I thought maybe most people wouldn't think of, but I think he would be good.
He crossed my mind, but I was like, I don't know if I'm just being a homer or not, so I left him off the list.
I could also be being a homer, if we're being honest. The other one is Brian Thomas Jr. I like a little bit of like his physical presence in flag football, like jump ball and the route running and all. Like, I don't know. So I was trying to get receivers that had field specific roles in my mind. All of those dudes could play inside, outside. Route running is good. They create space. They are fast and shifty. Like, all of it together is where I kind of, where I saw that. Then, so my two deep would be Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson starting, and then Tutu Atwell and Brian Thomas Jr. coming off the bench. And then at the center position, I prioritize tight ends.
Yeah.
A body that, if you want to leave him in the block, could possibly block, but then also great route runner and pass catching tight ends that are, again, matchup nightmares. So I went with Brock Bowers and Dalton Kincaid as my guys there. Two best young tight ends in the league right now in my mind, and capable pass catchers. So I went with those guys on my two deep. Defense. So on defense, you get a rusher, two corners, two safeties, right? And I'll give you mine this time first, and I'll let you go after. So my pass rusher, I was thinking athletic freaks who move, but also could, like, you could do different stuff. Like, you don't always have to rush them. Maybe you spy them. Maybe you do some different things with them. Give you some flexibility. So I was prioritizing just pure athleticism, speed, elusiveness, or awareness, like smart football players that I could do different things with. Thinking Derwin James and then Fred Warner were my two guys here. Derwin James is obviously like a guy who can cover and things like that. And he's also
Mhm.
like, everyone knows him as being a physical safety,
Yeah, I was
but he's
gonna say
also
you
just
got
a
two
really
different
smart
spectrums right there. I like it though.
he's also a really smart pass rusher. Can you imagine? And he's long, so like gets hands up. Like you imagine him coming at you and getting his hands up, and like I like that in flag football. And then also allows me some flexibility because he is a safety, and I could do different things with him. I could disguise things and bring somebody else, or I don't know how exactly the rules work, but I think you just have to be at a certain depth to be able to be a rusher. Thought so, you could kind of mess around with it a little bit, and then Fred Warner. Obviously, his athleticism is on display every week for the Niners. Their defense is built around him. So
Mm-hmm.
my two deep there at rusher, Derwin James and Fred Warner. At
You just
corner,
got paid too.
I prioritized man coverage and a little bit of versatility, some length, guys who I just know will win one-on-one matchups. So the first two guys that come to mind, great young corners, Christian Gonzalez, Pat Surtain, two of the
Yeah.
best right now in the league. So I don't think those two require much more explanation than that. And then the other two, Marlon Humphrey, I love his versatility and what you could do with him. And then Sauce Gardner, obviously another one who just wins one-on-one matchups when he's healthy. So I like those four. So Christian Gonzalez, Pat Surtain starting, Marlon Humphrey, Sauce Gardner off the bench. Then at safety, I want guys who can cover, but also maybe could play a little bit of the middle of the field, do some different things. I cheated a little bit because technically Brian Branch is more of a nickel, but I'm playing him at safety here because I like his coverage ability, and you really want more safeties who you want at least one who could cover in man coverage, I think. Then I Minka Fitzpatrick, Kyle Hamilton, Antoine Woodfield Jr. That mix of guys, I don't even know who starts, to be honest with you. This would be the group that I have the most difficult time figuring out, like, who are my two starters, who are my two backups. It probably depends on what we're playing. If I want a guy to play the middle of the field, Antoine Winfield Jr. is the dude. But by the same token, Kyle Hamilton can do it all. He can play man coverage, but his length and his athleticism allows him to play sideline to sideline. So you can play him in the middle of the field. Minka is crafty. Brian Branch, I like that group. I don't even know who starts, but those are my four dudes. So that's what I would go with on defense. Who you got?
For me, for the rusher, I was toying with putting Fred Warner down, but I went typical true pass rusher off the edge type dude. So I got Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, and Jared Verse all written down. I think selecting one to start, I'd probably go Aiden Hutchinson or Jared Verse.
Ooh.
For that slot, I think Aiden Hutchinson, if he's fully healthy in the next 3 years, by then I think he's gonna be an animal. He already was until the leg injury. So by then, if my man's full speed, I'm rolling with him. Corner, I kind of had the same people as you. I got Pat Surtain Jr., Jair Alexander, Christian Gonzalez. I think I'm rolling Pat Surtain on that slot. The other one I had Trent McDuffie, Brian Branch, Devin Witherspoon all written down. I think it's a toss-up for me between Trent McDuffie and Brian Branch, but I'd probably just go Brian Branch because I love the guy.
Yeah, you do. I also do. I like that you got Devin Witherspoon on there too.
Yeah, I was like, it's got to be people who are like 25, 26, or like who's going to be the man by then. You know what I mean? So I was like, I got to get a little younger group. So safety, I got Cooper DeJean, Cam Curl written down for that slot. I think I'm starting my guy.
Okay, so you cheated a little bit too. Because Cooper DeJean's more of a nickel like Brian Branch, so you put him at safety. So you cheated too. I like it.
And then the other slot, I had Xavier McKinney. I don't know who this one's supposed to be. It says Nervy Joseph. I obviously mistyped something.
Kirby Joseph?
Yeah.
From the Lions?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Nervy Joseph. Maybe
I was on the phone. I was on the phone, so autocorrect for sure. And then Jordan Battle, a little younger dude over there. I think I'm rolling Xavier McKinney with
That's a good
Kirby
one.
Joseph falling right behind. Yeah,
that's a good one. It'd be interesting. I was reading the other day, like, who's going to coach the team? Because you have like the flag football national coach who's been doing it, but once you add the NFL players, it's kind of like,
it's
do
not
we
the
want
same animal?
Yeah. It's like, do we want that guy, or do we want a guy who's had experience with NFL players coaching it? It'd be very interesting to see what they do, because flag football, 5-on-5 flag football is obviously a much different game than 11-on-11 tackle football. Like, schematically, you have to
you got
be
the condensed
completely
field.
different.
You got
So it'd be very interesting to see if an NFL coach steps up to do it, or if they let the guy who's been leading. There's part of me that says the guy who's been doing the national team knows the game, knows what it takes. Like, you should probably just let him do it. He's earned it. He's been the national, team coach for the last, I think it's 3 years.
Yeah.
So by that point, he'll have had 6 years under his belt as long as he remains the coach. Or if they're gonna have someone else do it, you need them to like start rolling.
I think you let them
here so they get the experience.
You let the NFL players play the current team, see what happens. Coaches are obviously going to be different, see what happens there. You know what I mean? Because what if it is a good game? I'm like, dang, maybe the NFL players don't correlate to the small field. You never know.
The NFL players are the most elite athletes on the planet.
I get
they'll
that,
correlate.
But
I think there's no doubt the NFL players should be there. It's really about, to me, the coaching prowess and the schematic approach and understanding of the game.
Which right now, if you had to,
I would look at the most innovative coaches in football, and so my mind goes to someone like Sean McVay. I think would adjust and adapt and figure it out pretty quickly. I also just going to throw this out there, a guy that's available, that's not currently coaching anyone, that just loves football and celebrates.
Gruden?
And Gruden wouldn't be a bad one, I think, because he studies it at all levels. And I feel like if you said, hey, Gruden, we want you to be the Olympic flag football coach right now, he'd take the next 3 years and just learn the game. Like, he would just deep dive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the guy would really immerse himself in it because he loves football.
That's him for sure.
Then, other guys that I think of, like, I don't even think it's a bad idea to like look at the college ranks and see dudes who, like, someone like Joe Moorhead, at Penn State, like.
I'm glad you threw that in because I was saying,
he's not at Penn State now. I'm thinking Joe Moorhead was at Penn State. I'm thinking of Penn State's offense coordinator right now, that Kotelnicki, and I don't know, but or even if he's still wanting to do something, Andy Reid.
That was gonna be my pick for Ben Johnson.
But I like the innovative coaches who lead the charge in the new. Right. And create a lot of the times to create the trends. To me, those are the guys who are going to adapt and adjust to the game quickest and will give you the best opportunity to win. So I would look at those innovators. Shanahan, even if you're looking on defense, like Mike McDaniel or Mike McDonald, the Seahawks head coach.
Yeah.
So I would just look at some guys like that would adapt and, would adjust and immerse themselves in the game quickly. So, beyond that, it'll be interesting to see which guys are around and ready to do this. And I think each NFL team only gets one player
to send.
They can only send. You can only poach one guy basically because I think that's what I read. At least at one point that was in the proposal. I don't know if that's actually what passed, but so it may be one guy per team, which I don't think we had too many more than one guy per team in our picks. In our picks here. So, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And other than that, I think that's our pod here.
Yeah, I got one I could throw if you don't got.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this: TV right now, been on fire, bro. Been on fire. If you want some TV shows to watch, all right, I'll give you some. I'll give you a ton of suggestions. Number one, I'll go oldest to like newest, right? Mm-hmm. So number one, The Pit. Watch that show, HBO Max, which it's not Max anymore. It's going back to HBO Max.
Yeah.
So it's HBO Max again. The Pit. It's a ER style drama deal, and it covers one shift in the ER. Fantastic. Okay. Well done. Makes me appreciate Jill, even though Jill does not work in an ER, it just makes me appreciate her job in general.
Yeah.
Even more than I already did. It's very realistic. Very good. Gut wrenching though. Also, like, not kidding. Show made me cry multiple times. Oh, yeah, multiple times. Tough. Like, you gotta make sure you're emotionally ready for that. So The Pit. Number two, Andor. If you're a Star Wars fan, even if you're not really a Star Wars fan, Andor is like a rebellion style drama that has 2 seasons. It's not a tough watch. You know what I mean? It's only 2 seasons and you finish it. It leads you right into Rogue One, which truthfully offset this deal where when I finished it, I went and watched Rogue One and then I watched A New Hope. So now I was just watching Star Wars.
Hey, on the new Star Wars though.
Yeah. So very, very good. Next one, The Studio, Apple TV, which Andor, by the way, is on Disney Plus because it's obviously a Star Wars property.
Yeah.
But The Studio is on Apple TV. Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and they are studio, like movie studio executives, and they show you kind of like, it's really funny, obviously, because it's Seth Rogen, but it's like the behind the scenes of how these movies get made and all the deals that happen at the agents and the actors and the directors and like everybody involved. Very funny, like hilarious. And it's nice because it's only like 25 minutes an episode, 10 episodes for the first season, just finished up. Easy to get through, bro. Very fun. Next one, Your Friends and Neighbors, also on Apple TV. It's got our guy John Hamm. He's like a rich dude.
Don't know
Who you know who John Hamm is. You just don't recognize the name. I promise you, if you saw him, you'd be like, "Oh, that guy." So John Hamm plays like a rich dude, divorced, hedge fund type dude, like stockbroker dude managing accounts, and he gets laid off from work. And so now he's trying to still like keep up with the appearances, like keep up with the Joneses of the people around him, you know what I mean? Because he's in the rich people circles. So he starts stealing from his rich friends to keep making money, basically.
Dang.
And it's pretty funny. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So funny, but also like kind of a crime drama thriller deal. Next one and last recommendation here. It's on also HBO Max every Sunday night. Season finales tonight.
The Last of Us?
The Last of Us. Very good show. If you played the game, you'll love it. If you didn't play the game, which I hadn't played the game going into it, I kind of heard of it before, but started watching it when the first season was on. Very excited for season 2. Season 2 has been just as good. It's been very good. I'm excited for the season finale tonight. So The Last of Us. So I just gave you 5 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them have kind of been on at the same time. And that's not even including, a couple months ago, White Lotus was also fantastic.
Were you a Severance
Max? Huh?
Are you a Severance guy?
Severance, also very good. Finished up a couple months ago, whatever, on Apple TV. So like Apple TV and HBO Max right now, man, they're putting out good stuff, both of them. So a lot of good TV on, a lot of good recommendations, a lot of stuff I would watch if I was you. So if you're looking for something, there's some bangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. For me, I only got music on my list, so, and it's not like it deviates far from where I'm at. I got 2 songs from Drake's album. I love both these albums actually, but the Drake album, I got You Can Go Give Me a Hug or Brian Steele. I think those are, the typical Drake you would think of. The other ones are all a little slower, but I still like all those. And then more recently, Morgan Wallen's album. I've been listening to.
I knew you were gonna give me some Morgan Wallen. Yeah, I knew it.
Kick Myself and Genesis would be the ones I'd recommend off of his album.
Okay,
but like I said,
like the Tate McRae one that's trending.
It's funny. Fish was big on that one early. I do like it. I didn't know that was her on there. Actually, I thought it was a different, like another female country artist. If I had to guess, but when I listened to it, I didn't expect it to be her. And then I finally, like, once I knew it was her on there, I heard like her voice, but that wasn't my first thought. But no, I like both albums front to back. It's kind of crazy. And that one's got like 30 something songs on there, so it tells you a lot.
Okay. All right, so that's a pod right there. I wish I could tell you all how long we're going to be back and how often and all of that. Schedule's up in the air. This summer, I think we're going to try and get back to a weekly episode format as much as we can. We'll see if that can carry into the fall. There's a lot of unknowns right now in terms of my time and ability to commit to this show. I would love to as much as I can. So we're going to do our best all summer to keep up with it, and then we'll see how we get into the football season. The thing about this show is when we do it, I want to do it the right way, and it's hard for me to say I'm going to do it if I know I can't do it the right way, if
No, I
that
get
makes
you.
sense. And so want to do it justice, want to do it with my full ability, and so that's the part that's difficult when I also have that job is obviously a big time commitment in my life right now. So this summer though, not as much, not as much time commitment. So hopefully this allows us to get back at it and give people the content that they were coming here for before. But other than that, we got our guy taking us out.
Ray Ray.